Welcome to the call. Welcome to the call, all millionaires. My name is Amma Nancy, and it is such an honor to be the host this evening. Thank you all so very much for calling in, and I'd like to welcome all of you to this self-esteem development training call, Obsessed with Success. Just in case this is your first time calling in, I'd like to be the first person to inform you that we actually have these calls each and every Wednesday, and they are always filled with strategies and tips on self-esteem development, entrepreneurship, as well as speakers of the super wealthy. Trust me, millionaires, you never, ever want to miss one of these calls because they can totally change your life the way that they have mine. And it's not just me. These calls have literally helped thousands of people throughout the United States of America. So it is with special excitement that I'm so pleased to introduce to the line Mr. Haziq Ali. Mr. Ali is he devotes all of his time to providing service and fights the war on poverty just so that we can all win. It's because of this we affectionately call him the General. Mr. Ali is an author, a self-esteem development expert, my personal coach, my mentor, and my friend. Now let me step out of the way and introduce to the line Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
I am. Can you hear me, Miss Nancy?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much for that incredible introduction. And I want to welcome all the millionaires to episode number 159 of Obsessed with Success. Today, we're covering forgiveness. You know, we're in the beginning of the year. This is a good time to cleanse, isn't it? Isn't this a good time to kind of like let go of a lot of the baggage, a lot of these anchors that we're kind of carrying around? Have you ever been through something and somebody kind of like did you wrong, or they kind of I don't know, and it's just like they it's like you forgave them a little too good. Like there's this joke about a couple and the guy Jeff, he did something really stupid, and the lady Michelle chewed him out for it, right? And he apologized and they made up. But every now and then, the wife would kind of mention what he did, and so one day, Jeff is like, "Babe, why do you keep bringing that up? I thought your policy was forgive and forget." And she was like, "It is. I just don't want you to forget that I've forgiven and forgotten." Sometimes that's how we go about it when it's time for us to forgive, right? Like we don't want the person to know that it's all good. But see, forgiveness is the intentional. You got to look at that word. It's the intentional. It's the voluntary process by which you undergo this change in your feelings regarding this person that offended you. This is where you're choosing on purpose to let go of negative emotions and this need for revenge. This is when you all of a sudden decide, you know what, I wish them well. You know, one of my favorite books on entrepreneurship, one of the main characters just looks at the sky and he's like, "Forgive them, Pops. They know not what they do." Forgiveness is different from condoning, where you don't see it as wrong. Forgiveness is different from excusing. Write this down. It's different from condoning, where you don't see it as wrong. It's different from excusing, where you're not holding this person responsible for the action. It's different from forgetting, where you just remove awareness from the consciousness. And it's different from pardoning, where you kind of grant them kind of like mercy and grace. Maybe you restore the relationship. That's not what forgiveness means. What forgiveness means is that you're undergoing forgiveness means that you're undergoing an intentional and voluntary process where you have decided on purpose to let go and let God. Now, this call isn't all about being, I'm not here to stand on the pulpit in front of you, but I do want to give you some really powerful things to consider about forgiveness, because for a lot of us, the whole part where we deserve to be rich, it has to do with us feeling like we are worthy of forgiveness and that we are strong enough to forgive others. Millionaires, I'm going to give you today 17 steps to forgiveness. I'm going to give you 8 key notes that you got to hit if you're looking for harmony. I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can just completely mess up an apology. And then I'm going to kind of give you a trick. And this is what we're going to start with. I'm going to give you a trick for making all your apologies better. Millionaires, I want you to think about it. A lot of times when you're going through it with people and you're kind of like trying your best to apologize, sometimes you're being a bigger person. You know that feeling I'm talking about? When you're dealing with this person and you kind of like feel like you don't see what the big deal is, or it's one of those things, well, you started it, and, you know, when I came back and responded in a certain way, I mean, what you want me to do? We all can relate to that. Somebody keeps unmuting their line and, like, throwing everything off. I forgive you, but can you stop unmuting your line? We're going to try this one more time. I'm not sure what the angle is there, but I'm going to unmute everybody, and then I'm going to mute it again. If you're brushing paper over the phone or something like that, thank you for helping us prove what forgiveness is all about. All right, let's see if that works. Now, millionaires, have you ever felt that feeling, right? The only thing worse than getting hurt by somebody you trust, right, is when it's followed by this real lame apology. You know, one of them joints where they hit you with, I'm sorry you're mad. I'm sorry you feel that way. You know? But we also know that since we're all just human beings, we all mess up sometimes. And we all kind of like, when we're the ones that's supposed to receive the apology, we want it to sound like it got written by Shakespeare. But when it's time for us to give one, sometimes we're not all the way in it. And sometimes we really want to be all the way in it, but we get, you know, it's mental, right? So I'm going to give you a quick little mental hack that you can use to make your apologies better in the future. Because the basic idea here is that we're all motivated to maintain a positive image of ourselves. Write this down. The strongest need in human nature is the need to have your actions match up with your self-image. So a lot of times what's stopping us from giving an apology like we mean it is that we feel like it might impugn our self-integrity, our morality, you know, our feelings of adequacy. You know, we want to feel like we're enough. And sometimes apologizing can suck because it almost makes us feel like we hurt somebody. That threatens our self-image sometimes. If we don't see ourselves as a bad person, never forget, even Hitler was like a vegetarian. We all are walking around with this sort of rationale in our head, like we good, and we have to make ourselves good, so we rationalize. We tell what I call rational lies to ourselves. We get defensive. We justify our behavior, and it's all to protect our ego. Write this down. Your ego is not your amigo, and research has shown that when you refuse to admit you were wrong, it feels great in a moment, but that unresolved conflict can poison the workplace. It can poison a relationship. It can poison your self-esteem. So here's a little trick that you can use whenever you want to make your apology 10 times better. First, go through some self-affirmation. Now imagine that, right? Haziq Ali talking about affirmation. But it works. First, remind yourself that you're an awesome person, that you're a great leader, that you have the highest of intentions for people, that you're looking out for the greater good. Give yourself the power to give yourself the power. Now, see, the whole idea is that you're self-affirming your own value. Because before responding, maybe you want to reflect on something else that really matters to you in life, because that's where your value is. Perhaps that's your job. Maybe that's your kids. By chance, is it your health, your hobbies? Maybe there's some group you're a part of that you just really feel proud of. When you start thinking of these sources of self-worth and self-esteem and things that give meaning to your life, now you start to feel less defensive about your behavior in this little moment. Because what the ego will convince you to do is look at this moment like it's your whole life. Man, this moment doesn't even matter. Remember the 5x5 rule. If it won't matter 5 years from now, don't spend more than 5 minutes on it. But listen, when you self-affirm your value, all of a sudden your apology sounds a lot stronger. So with that said, write this down. These are 4 different ways to ruin an apology. These are 4 different ways to ruin an apology. Whenever an apology sucks, you can guarantee yourself that one of these 4 or some combination of all 4 or 2 or 3 is involved. Here's the first one: justifying your words or your behavior. Nobody needs that from you. If you're here to apologize, and we don't need to hear all the reasons that you did it, what you're doing is losing serious points from the judges. The second one is blaming the victim. What psychologists tell you is that when you blame, you give the power. In other words, when you blame the victim, you're actually playing victim. It's not their fault that you decided to respond the way that you did. You know that wasn't your highest self. You know that wasn't a reaction. I'm sorry, that wasn't even a response. That was a reaction. So when you blame the victim, like, man, look what you made me do, that is not an apology. Number 3, making excuses. Listen, we sent it out on Dear Millionaire a couple of days ago. We were like, making excuses turns your dreams into dust. You know what else can turn into dust because of your excuses? A relationship. Making excuses. Excuses are just the tools of the incompetent to build monuments of nothingness. Does that make sense? If you're apologizing, why in the same breath are you rationalizing your behavior? Again, telling rational lies. Here's the 4th one. And these are funny, man, because we've all been there. We've all done this, you know, especially when it's something that's like we're really passionate about. We break these rules. That's why I'm hoping you got a study buddy on the line. Hopefully you got somebody to mean something to you on the line so you guys can listen and kind of make a pact to kind of go over some of these points. But here's the 4th one. This is probably the cardinal sin of them all. Minimizing the consequences. You know when somebody offends you to all in and then they say, it was just a joke. Why can't you take a joke? You're so sensitive. After they the ones stomp on your feelings. Now you sensitive. It's like a little combination of all of them. They justifying it because it was a joke. They blaming you for being sensitive. They making excuses because they saying it was just a joke, right? Listen. Apologizing is never going to be fun, not when it's a sincere apology. It's not like it's fun because you feel horrible already that you hurt the person and you're hoping to goodness that they accept it. But just because it's not fun doesn't mean it has to be a horrible, traumatic experience. So then, now that we've covered the 4 ways to ruin it, why don't we go over a few ways to make an apology just poetry, right? I'm going to give you 8 different notes you have to hit to achieve harmony. See what I did there? Notes, harmony, right? All right. Here's the first one. I'm giving you the blueprint to an apology. Any husbands on the line, thank me later. Shoot, for that matter, any especially violent, you know, and high-strung, you know who you are, ladies on the line, thank me later. when I help you to save your relationship. Now, I'm not a relationship counselor. Please believe it. But I'm learning out loud right here. That's what this is. And listen, please take notes, because as Jimi Hendrix once famously said, the world won't know the love of peace until it gives up the love of power. Right? They won't know the power of love until they give up the love of power. I want you to understand that the whole process of forgiveness means that you're giving up the love of power so that you can revel in the power of love. Here's the first one. You actually have to use the words, I'm sorry, or I apologize. Right? I know some of us have it ingrained in our head when you be like, I'm sorry, and your mama say, don't be sorry, be safe. Is that just me? You know? When your mama just berate you for trying to be the big one and apologize, even though she got on your nerves first, right? Whatever. But you got to use some words that actually because you'll get to start rambling and telling something, and you'll forget to say it. So make sure you say, I'm sorry. I apologize. Number 2, acknowledge that you messed up. Now, I know that sounds like what we just said. But see, that's not how it works with people. When they're hurt, and especially the men on the line, and now let me stop saying that before I get in trouble, because we all go through it, right? But I'm just saying, man, acknowledge that you messed up. I know that sounds like when you said, I'm sorry, but it's two different things. You got to understand this. Now you want to say it again, like I take full responsibility, right? I take full responsibility. I really messed up. Here's the third one. Tell the person how you'll fix the situation. Now, that's important, right? That's important because you're trying to help them understand that, like, it's not just ending here. You're not trying to take the easy way out. Here's how you're going to compromise. Here's how you're going to change something about your behavior in the future, right? You're explaining to them that you're going to do something about it. Number 4, describe what happened, but without putting the blame on somebody else, not them, not this innocent bystander, nobody. Describe what happened. Let me explain what you're doing. You're making sure that they know you hear them. I'm going to say it again. You're making sure that they know you hear them. You're describing it almost from their perspective. You don't want to describe it and start inserting little sarcastic editorials and doing your little play-by-play and ruining everything with facetiousness. This is the time to make them understand that they were clearly heard. Number 5. I know it feels like you already did this a couple of times. But number 5 is promise to behave better next time. Right? So like a puppy, well, good, because guess what? Puppies get took care of their whole life. And for you to do the same, you've got to be a good person. And sometimes that means you're asking for forgiveness. You're apologizing. All right? Now, the next one is number 6, right? Make sure the person knows you know exactly how you hurt them, that you know exactly how you inconvenience them. Customer service people do it to you all the time. They repeat back to you what you just now said to make it clear that they heard you. That's how you diffuse the situation. You know that? That's how you diffuse it in hostage situations, everything. You got to make sure the person feels heard. Millionaires, I talk about it all the time, where when you go into, maybe you're on a road trip, you go into the bathroom, the most famous type of graffiti is such and such was here, because people just want to feel like they are here, that they have been heard, that someone cares they exist. Does that make sense? So make sure the person knows that you're aware of exactly how you inconvenience them, that you're aware of exactly how you hurt them or hurt their feelings. It's important. Number 7, and this is kind of like the first rule we went over. But it's very important, again, to use some version of the phrase, I was wrong. Now, I know you're like, wow, we're really piling it on. But do you want to know if I give a good apology or not? This is the apology, baby. This is it. This is how it goes. And then number 8, finally, you ask for forgiveness. You ask for forgiveness is number 8. Now, see, all of that was the fun stuff, right? If you want to call it that. But what about when we're the ones that need to forgive, right? What about when we're the ones that need to forgive? Isn't it true that that can be one of the hardest things we've ever done in our life? Man, it's so deep that in psychological studies, like, you know, I'll give you a good example. With sexual abuse, they sometimes tell you that you can give yourself the permission to not forgive, because you may start to confuse forgiving with condoning, and it can mess you up mentally. Man, there's some crazy stuff going on out here. And the more you're aware of it, the more grateful you are for the relatively harmonious and peaceful solace of your own life. It gets rough out here on planet Earth. But what about when it's time for you to forgive somebody? I'm going to give you 15 steps to forgiveness, as taught by Ralph Marston. You know, he's one of the most positive guys I've ever run across. Amazing character. And I just kind of felt like these would be helpful to you. We went over some of them on Affirmation Nation, and I just really find these to be powerful, so I figured I would share them all. Please be taking notes. This is a good time to start taking notes if you hadn't already. Millionaires, we've got to learn to get along better. So step one, because this is essential for your spiritual growth. This is essential. Step 1 is move on to the next act. Move on to the next part of your play, man. Your past hurts are not here in your physical reality. So don't allow them to be here in your mind. Don't allow them to mess up the present moments that you're trying to live right now. Your life is like a movie. Don't you make it a photograph. Some of the characters that enter have shorter roles, right? They say some are here for a reason, some are here for a season, some are here for a lifetime. But listen, some are villains, some are good guys, some have good roles, some have bad roles, but all of them are necessary. If you want to be legendary, you can't just avoid the parts you don't like. You've got to do not just your best, you've got to do what's necessary. You've got to deal with all these characters. This is your movie. Step number 2, reconnect to your spirit. Reconnect to your spirit is step number 2. Millionaires, it's January. It's a brand new year, right? The winter solstice just passed, all that good stuff. No matter what man-made kind of thing you look at that marks time, we're now in a new beginning. Make a new agreement with yourself to always stay connected to your higher self. Sometimes it's going to seem really difficult, but write this down. When a person deserves love the least is when they need it the most. See, if you will do this, if you will allow that perfect harmony that your body was designed for to sort of like emanate, if you will turn your hurt over to God or the universe, whatever you believe in, and just allow that spirit and energy to flow through you, your new agreement with reality, where you've blended your physical and your personality, will start to radiate this higher energy wherever you go. You're going to be the one that walks in the room and lets people experience this whole glow of God consciousness. You're going to be the one who walks in the room and the disharmony and the disorder and all of the discouragement starts to vanish. Because you've reconnected to your spirit. You've realized that all suffering comes from self-absorption. You're letting go because you know things don't happen to you, they happen for you. What was that? That was a good story for you to tell somebody else when you're trying to show them how it's really not that serious. That's what you got yourself. You got yourself another testimony. Number 3, don't go to sleep angry. How about the idea that when you go to sleep, the best thing you can do is plan for the future? I'm going to tell you something about depression and frustration. When you focus on the future, you don't even feel it. You don't even see it. When you focus on the future, you ever heard the phrase, a dog on a hunt doesn't notice fleas? Listen, when you're about to go to sleep, the last thoughts you have is what you're impressing upon your subconscious mind. That's why it's, when you go to sleep with the TV on, you start dreaming about some kind of turtle wax, right? Or you're washing the car, or they plan in some kind of pharmaceutical company commercial, and now in your dream, it's old people swinging on the, right? My point to you is this. When you're about to go to sleep angry, you're impressing that you're carving the grooves in your head. You're carving these grooves in your head, right? So now all of a sudden you wake up angry. Now all of a sudden that's just a given to you, that you hate this side of your life. This little facet of your diamond is cloudy now. No. Before you go to sleep, reiterate your I ams. Fill your imagination with power and peace. I am peaceful. I am enough. I am happy, and I am grateful, and I deserve to be rich. Right? I am loved. I am so happy and grateful. I am so grateful that all my friends are so successful and bring such value to my life. It's got to be a nightly ritual on some level, because some of the things that we have to forgive people for are heavy. In other words, if we let them down, we would skyrocket. And it gets rough. While you're trying to do it, your ego's going to be trying to get you to review some nonsense. You know how the ego do? Man, I'll tell you one thing. If that person say this to me one more time, I'll tell you what. You know what we ought to do is go there tomorrow and, right? How are they going to say that to us anyway? They must not know who he is. They must not know. Boy, they don't know how we used to be, do it. I mean, sometimes I feel like we got to show them. I don't know. I feel like they was laughing at us. Right? That's what we start doing. And it's all ego. Let it go. Instead, as you're going to sleep, allow yourself to program yourself on purpose. Step number 4. Switch the vibe from blaming this person to understanding yourself. Instead of blaming them, understand yourself. When you're upset because somebody else did you wrong and somebody else did something crazy, take the focus off of the one you're holding responsible for your stress and put it on the one that's responsible for the stress. In other words, it ain't them, it's you. It's always us. Now, the experience is going to be like how it may. Let the chips fall, right? But acknowledge it for being what it is. You don't make it good. Don't make it bad. Don't blame yourself. Just allow it to unfold. Tell yourself, nobody has the power to make me feel stressed out. Nobody has the power to get me upset. It's going to be a snowball fights in hell before I give the power over my emotions to something so small. It's not happening. But see, that sort of self-awareness can't happen until you decide to tell yourself you're willing to freely experience your emotions without calling them wrong, without needing to chase them away. This is making a shift in self-mastery. You're bypassing the blame, and I mean on a certain level, maybe you're even bypassing the need to understand them just yet. What you're doing is focusing on understanding yourself. by taking responsibility for how you choose to respond to anything, any person on God's green earth, what you're doing is aligning yourself with that rhythm of life. And as we all know, once you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you choose to perceive the power you let other people have over you, whole new world, whole new world. I hope you're taking notes. Step number 5, stop telling people what to do. Stop making your forgiveness based on what they want to change. Listen, you got to get rid of all them thoughts and activities that involve telling people who are perfectly capable of making their own decisions what they need to do. You know, it's this guy, Khalil Gibran, who's like, your children ain't even your children. Those are the sons and daughters of life. It's life's longing for itself. They come through you, but they don't come from you. This is your children. Imagine these other human beings. This is always true. Stop feeling the need to dominate all your relationships. Listen instead of expounding. Pay attention to yourself when you're having these judgmental opinions. See where that takes you, right? Start replacing that ownership mentality with a mentality of allowing it. What you're going to do is you're going to start seeing how people really are. You're going to see this whole unfolding of the world, of the spirit. From that minute on, you're free of frustration. Step number 6. Step number 6. Learn to let go. Bruce Lee called it being like water. You ever notice with water, it can crash or it can drip? Man, water can keep life going by watering the fruit trees, or it can take life away by drowning you, right? See, the thing about water is it flows wherever there's an opening. It just gets in where it fits in. Soften those edges. Be more tolerant of others. Stop interfering. Live and let live, man. When somebody gives you their viewpoint, every now and then, kind of go with, man, I never thought of that before. Thank you. I'll give it some thought. Start picturing yourself like you're water. Allow that soft, yielding fluid. You can't say water is weak, but you can say it's soft and yielding and fluid. And let it enter places where you weren't even allowed before because you were so hard and rigid. You had to have everything a certain way. So you weren't even allowed certain places. Are you with me? Flow softly into other people's lives. Maybe you feel conflicted with them. Just let it flow. Why don't you let it flow? And maybe for the first time you get to experience what they feel. Keep this image of yourself like you're this gentle, flowing, unbothered entity. And watch how your relationships start to change. Watch. Number 7, take responsibility for your part. Now, this is what you got to know. Removing blame means you're never assigning responsibility to anybody else for what you're going through. We all know the story. 2 people are sitting on the same cliff, right? And one's looking out at the nature and like, wow, God's universe is amazing. And the other one's sitting there like, what's crawling on my leg? Listen, you're responsible for what you're experiencing. Sometimes you got to say to yourself, I might not understand why I feel this way, why I have this illness, why I've been sort of attacked or victimized, right? But I'm willing to say with no guilt, I'm willing to say with no resentment that I own it. I'm responsible for my own life because I realize the price of greatness is 100% responsibility for my own thoughts. When you take responsibility for having the experience, at least you have a chance to take responsibility for removing it or learning from it. If you decide that in some small way you're responsible for your migraine headache, or you're responsible for your depression, or you're responsible for the accident you had, or now you can start taking away the feeling. because it's just a feeling. It's just in your mind. Number 8, let go of resentments. What causes annoyance, right? We don't say anger, right? I try to teach to use lower level words when you're describing negative emotions. Everything doesn't have to be, I'm so livid. I'm so angry. Sometimes it could just be like, man, I'm annoyed. Isn't it hard to feel the rage when you use a sort of funny word like annoyed? So let go of resentments, because after all, what causes annoyance after you have an argument or some kind of dispute? All you're going to do is start saying, well, this person was wrong, and they're so unreasonable, and that was so illogical. I have a right to be upset. But see, if you're interested in rocking with the rhythm of life, you got to reverse all that. Resentment don't come from the way they act. It's your decision. They're surviving and thriving, doing the best they can with what they got. They don't even know that they're affecting you like this. And because you're unwilling to end that altercation with an offering of love, all we really need is peace and love. And because you're unwilling to end it, because your ego keep being like, nah, we're going to show them. We're going to show them who they messing with, boy. Woo! They don't know. See? And because our ego keeps convincing us to do that, we stay locked in. Millionaires. When all the yelling and the screaming and all the threatening words have been expressed, now it's time for peace. Now it's time for harmony. Now it's time for reflection. No storm lasts forever, and inside that storm are always the seeds of tranquility. Don't you understand we wouldn't have had a civil rights movement if it wasn't for that church getting bombed in Birmingham? Now, that might be a crazy example to use so close to January 15th, but I want you to understand that in every storm are the seeds of tranquility. You just got to be open to it. Step number 9. How about you be kind instead of right? You know, there's this Chinese proverb, if you're going to pursue revenge, you better dig 2 graves. In other words, some people shoot themselves in the head and wait for you to die. Ain't that something? The world just is the way it is. The people who are behaving badly are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can process it any way you want to process it. But if you go around filled with anger, if you go around filled with this indignation about what other people are doing, all you're doing is contributing to the pollution. You got no need to make other people wrong. You got no need to be the judge and the jury and the executioner. Let go and mind your own business. Now, somebody says something to you, you find it offensive. Instead of going for resentment, how about you depersonalize it and realize hurt people try to hurt people. You are still perfectly able to send them the higher vibrations of love and peace and joy and forgiveness and crack jokes. You're responsible for your response. You're not responsible for their actions. You're doing this for yourself. You understand? Number 10, practice giving. Even in the middle of an argument or a disagreement, what if you gave instead of taking? See, but that's going to take leaving the ego behind, right? See, the ego wants to win and show it's superior. It wants to be contrary and sarcastic and disrespectful. But let me tell you about your godly self. Your godly self just wants peace and harmony because it knows then it can focus on the vision. You can reduce all that argument time to 0 if you'll just go through a vibe of giving to the other person. Whenever you feel these strong, passionate emotions and this need to be right, kind of like going through your body, just decide to give love. Bring love to hate, light to darkness, pardon to injury. Right? You know that one? The prayer of St. Francis. It's all been given to us. We know what to do. It's just doing what we know. Number 11, we coming to the end of this. Step number 11. Millionaires, stop looking for occasions to be offended. I swear, a lot of us act like muffins. You know how you put your finger in the muffin and then the muffin just holds on? It's like, stop being a muffin top, right? Stop walking around here looking for somebody. This news done offended you. This stranger done offended you. Somebody sneezed and you offended. You just walk around with a black cloud over your head just because you got this righteous vibe about how everything's supposed to be. All these shoulds and musts and rules and laws in your world. It ain't got nothing to do with the laws of nature, nothing to do with the laws of the universe. These are just some laws you created to protect your ego when you was a little kid. And now you're still using them. And maybe you were a little kid, or maybe you were just getting out of a little relationship, a relationship that was too little for you. But now you're walking around in this little self-imposed prison with this black cloud over your head. Is that working for you? Because I'm going to tell you something. If you have enough faith in your own beliefs, what you're going to find out is it's impossible to get offended by the conduct of somebody else. I'm going to say that again. If you have enough faith in your own beliefs, you're going to find out it's impossible to be offended by the conduct of some other human being. See, being unbothered is your way of saying that you are in touch with your godly version of yourself. It's saying, I got control over how I'm going to feel. I get to choose peace regardless of what I observe going on. When you feel offended, you're practicing judgment. You're casting judgment on somebody else. You're saying they're stupid, they're insensitive, they're rude, arrogant, inconsiderate, they're foolish, right? Now you're upset and offended by their conduct. Well, what you might not realize is that when you're judging somebody else, you ain't defining them. You're defining yourself as somebody who judges. I see it on Facebook all the time. Somebody will leave a post under somebody else's comment talking about how they need to stop posting. They need to stop worrying about what other people do. Let me make sure you're clear on this. The person will have a post giving their judgment on their Facebook page about how they feel about the world, and then somebody will come under their post and tell them how they don't have the right to feel that way about somebody else's actions. Sometimes I can't resist. I just go under there. Yeah, because you just now judge his actions about judging someone else's actions. But that's just what I'm feeling like. A judge. Right? I'm a work in progress, too. But you get what I'm saying. Funny, man. Funny. Number 12. We're winding this down. We're almost out of here. Number 12. Don't live in the past. If you want to forgive somebody, don't live in the past. Be present. When we find it hard to forgive, it's usually because we're living in the past. We're assigning more importance to the past than the moment. We assign a good portion of our energy and attention talking about the good old days. Those good old days are gone forever. And the reason why we can't be happy and fulfilled is because you won't let go. What you're doing is giving responsibility to the past for why you can't be happy today. And I got to tell you, I'm not an entomologist. I'm not some kind of a veterinarian. I'm not a zookeeper. But I highly doubt that other creatures in the animal kingdom with us waste the present moment thinking of the past. They don't even think about the future, I bet. I bet a beaver just does beaver things. I bet a squirrel just does squirrel stuff. I sincerely doubt that the squirrel is running around talking about which of his brothers and sisters got more attention from the daddy squirrel. I sincerely doubt that they're still sitting around talking about how the daddy squirrel ran off with a much younger lady squirrel. Now, I say it all the time. The reason we call it a university is that the original school was a study of the universe. Nature can teach us a lot. Please learn from nature. We can learn as much from God's creatures as we can from these man-made universities. Practice living in the moment. Appreciate the beauty that's around you right now. Number 13. Embrace your dark times. Millionaires realize the universe is moving with intelligent design. Realize there's a creative force supporting you. There's no accident. One of my favorite mentors says that coincidence is just God choosing to remain anonymous. Now, sometimes it's hard to acknowledge that you had to go through what you went through in order to get where you are. But I bet you when you look back with a clear eye, you notice hindsight is always 20/20. What we start to realize is that, oh, man, I got helped out by that problem. Oh, those dark times, those accidents, those rough and tough episodes of our life made us powerful. All we call it is resistance. This happens so you can assume victory next time, because now you're starting to see what you've been through. Embrace your dark times from that perspective. It's necessary to make you legendary. Number 14. We got 2 more and we out of here. Number 14. You got to refrain from judgment. Stop judging and observe. That's when you're going to find peace. And once you get peace, you're going to have happiness, because you're free of all of this resentment and bitterness. And here's a little bonus for you, millionaire. When you stop judging people, you're going to find out others are way more attracted to you. I got a buddy, man. Sometimes I'll be venting to him, and he won't say a word. I mean, I can tell he's not judging me, but I also am reminded every time, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Millionaires, let the judgment go. Judge not, lest ye shall be judged. I hope that makes sense to somebody. Here's the other bonus thought for you. What critics are doing is talking about themselves. Perception is reflection, so you got to watch it. A lot of times when you don't like what somebody else did or what you perceive them to have done, it's because you know what you would have did in that situation. And you probably would have did something similar, and you don't like that part of yourself, so now you're judging them. Be careful. Here's the last one I'm going to leave you with. We're kind of going over our 45 minutes, but I don't mind. Maybe we'll do some Q&A after this too. But here's the last one. You got to give the love you want. Millionaires, the golden rule will have you living in abundance if you'll just follow it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, I know we're all human, right? That's what we put into this meme, right? Like, sorry, we're only human, right? All of us slip. We all retreat sometimes from our highest self. We all jump off the pedestal. But this isn't a rationale for choosing to practice that. Oh, that's just me. Oh, that's just me. Nah, you have the ability to change starting right now. What I'm trying to say is that let go of the judging and the criticizing and send love, and your whole life is going to get different right now. I want to urge you, millionaire, send love to those people that have hurt you. Send love instead of judgment and criticism. Send love. Even when they feel like they're impeding your joy and your happiness, send them love. Be like, forgive them, Pops. They know not what they do. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at are going to change. Wayne Dyer said that. Millionaires, picture yourself on the edge of that quarrel or in that major dispute. Picture yourself in front of that person who has harmed you, even if they're dead. And instead of reacting with these old patterns of residual anger, instead of reacting with revenge, instead of reacting with all of this, I'm so hurt, instead of reacting like you wanna strike out with violence, right? I want you to switch to offering kindness and love. I want you to write something down. Hurt people try to hurt people. If you will do these kinds of meditations, if you will do these kinds of visualizations, when it happens in real life, it's going to be that much easier. Here's another thing for you millionaires. You might want to write a letter of forgiveness to somebody that's wronged you, and then write a letter of forgiveness to yourself. There are some powerful things that you can learn from giving yourself some compassion. Not just giving other people compassion, but giving yourself some compassion. Giving yourself the power to love on yourself a little bit. Millionaires, if you can't love yourself, you're going to find it really hard to love anybody else. You're going to find it really hard to serve anybody else from a pure place. That's why here we believe in a higher net worth through a higher self-worth. but it starts many, many times with forgiveness. Millionaires, this has been episode number 159 of Obsessed with Success. If you haven't joined Dear Millionaire yet, you joined us late, so you missed it. If you missed all the bonus stuff that we gave you in the beginning, like the 4 ways to mess an apology up, the 8 keys you have to hit to achieve that perfect harmony in your apology. If you missed all of that, it's because you are not signed up with Dear Millionaire. So I'm going to give you 2 little pieces of homework before we go, aside from the meditation exercise and the letter writing exercise. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of homework for sort of like your karmic debt to any jewels that maybe you picked up today. Instead of owing that debt, here's what you can do. You can start to use, search, and like the hashtag #WeAreMillionaireMinded. So write that down. Hashtag #WeAreMillionaireMinded. That's what's going to raise the value of the hashtag. Think about it. If every time you use the hashtag, your likes go up, people are going to start to inquire about what it is. From there, you can change their life. Now you got them on the affirmation calls, thanking you for it. Now you have them raising their self-esteem and thanking you for it. Now we're making the world a better place. So that's the first thing. Search, use, and support the hashtag #WeAreMillionaireMinded. Here's the second thing. Join Dear Millionaire. Dear Millionaire is the world's first text message service for personal growth and self-development, and it always reminds you of the trainings. So here's how you do it. You send a text message at MillMind to the number 81010. Just like that, it'll ask you your name. You type in your name, and you're enrolled in Dear Millionaire. With that said, I want to open it up for about 8 minutes of questions or feedback. Does anybody have any kind of question or feedback about today's topic? Good afternoon, Millionaire. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe everybody's muted. Hold on. There we go. All right, *6 on mute your line. Does anybody have any questions or feedback? Yes, ma'am. What is your name, where you from, and who plugged you in with Obsessed with Success?
Oh, okay. Deborah from Atlanta. My sister, I spoke earlier today. Let me ask, the 15 steps of forgiveness that you just gave, are they out of a book? You said Ralph Marston or something like that?
Yes, Ralph Marston. And what you'll be able to do is get the replay through Dear Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Good stuff. Very good
stuff.
Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay. Anybody else got any questions or feedback about tonight's call?
Good evening. This is Harriet from Miami. And Sharkarna put me on to Millionaire Minder.
Okay.
Ever since
welcome,
I started,
welcome.
Ever since I started listening to the steps to forgiveness, when we started back, I think 2 weeks ago, and I started to implement those things into my life, it actually has opened up a lot of things, and I started practicing it. And I've noticed that a lot of bitterness and grudges that I was holding against people, I let them go. I've gone to them, sat down, talked to them, didn't even discuss the things that had happened or anything like that. And it's just like all that time went by, it was wasted. It's like we never skipped a beat. Thank you for that.
Wow. I'm really happy to hear that. Forgiveness is so important, and we look at it like being weak when really it's being strong. Anybody else got any comments tonight? Good evening, Millionaire.
Yes, good evening. This is Dr. Marilyn from Atlanta. And Halima put me on the line. And just such an important topic, because we walk around with high blood pressure, hypertension, all types of physical maladies, because our emotional quotient is just a wreck, because we're holding on to things that just aren't even worth it. So I appreciate so much what you have gone through and shared with us this evening, and just releasing that just makes you feel so much better and helps you be so much more productive. Thank you.
Thank you. And there are, a lot of things in different spiritual texts about forgiveness. There are some amazing things. If you watch Super Soul Sunday on forgiveness, definitely it's a topic to continue to delve into. Anybody else got any comments or questions about tonight's topic? Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Millionaires, for being here tonight. I guess that will do it for episode number 159 of Obsessed with Success. I want to remind you, wearemillionaireminded.com is now up. You can get the archives of Obsessed with Success, as well as enjoy the introductory pricing on all the different resources that you'll see back there. There are some amazing tools back there. Please take advantage now, because this is for those of you that have been with us since the beginning. We were doing this over 3 years before we finally started to create this hub for ourselves, and now we've got it. So let's celebrate it. Millionaires, either your mind has to expand to match your goals, or your goals will just start to shrink to match your mind. Let's go.